Hey, welcome to the Respen-A YouTube channel.
Take 3.
Okay, take 3, if we're going to be honest. But we are so glad that you guys are here. We have created this YouTube channel to answer the burning questions deep inside of your brain, like what is Respen-A? What is homeopathy? Why do more boys have autism than girls? What is autism? Why do we not have gluten when we have autism? Like, why do they say to stay away from that? Why do they want us to take supplements? Why should we not take supplements? All of these questions we are here to answer. We're going to do this in little segments. So it's going to be hopefully anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes per segment. My name is Rachel Riviera. I'm a nurse out in Washington State. This is...
Aren't you going to say?
Okay. This is Elaine Delac, the innovator of Respen-A, okay? I am coming on here to help her out because this is the deal. This woman is a genius, but socially awkward. I, however, am socially a genius, but I don't understand half the stuff that she says. I just know that it works. So together, we have combined this together. So for you out there who are like me, just the average Joe, and are like, tell me exactly how it works, why I want to use it, and if it's going to work, what results I'm going to see, but kind of dumb it down a little bit so that I can get it and totally understand it, then you are here in the right spot. And also, if you are the scientific kind, the kind that is very book smart, very, very scientific, very savvy, huge researcher, you're still in the same spot because Elaine is here to explain that for you, okay? So, once again, thank you guys for joining us. We are so excited about this. We're gonna get started right away. The very first video today is on homeopathy and what the heck is homeopathy, okay? So, take it away. What's homeopathy?
Well, first, let me just tell you, it's really hard to talk to this little square, this little circle right there.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
So anyway, I got to keep my mind focused here. You know, being a registered nurse years ago, 17 years ago, I didn't believe in homeopathy. I thought it was quackery, you know, hocus pocus, whatever, only to learn that I was completely wrong. Now, one of the reasons I didn't believe in homeopathy is some people said, oh, it worked for me one time, didn't work for me the next time. So they had trouble always duplicating the same results. And I actually went on to learn why that is and how you can get it to work every time. So I think the easiest way for me to explain homeopathy is kind of take you through my journal, my journal. I don't even journal anything, but... my journey of how I came to believe in homeopathy and understand it. Okay, so wow,
remember when I said socially awkward? This is a huge stretch for this woman. Okay, tell us your journey.
Okay, so in homeopathy, the whole theory is based on is that things at a higher concentration, a dose at a higher concentration will create the symptoms that at a lower concentration it resolves. And that made sense to me in that because in homeopathy, they only use what we call agonists. In other words, an agonist is something that directly stimulates the receptors on the cells. And so if you overstimulate those receptors, such as with too high of a dose, you shut the receptors down. They're like, oh man, you're frying me, and they close up and they won't receive anymore. Well, that's just like not having any receptor stimulation then, and so you create the symptoms that you're wanting to treat. And then you take a person who has those symptoms and you give them just a little itsy bitsy dose of that receptor stimulant called an agonist. And that excites those receptors. It's like, oh my God, I've been looking for you. And they're like hungry. And they actually upregulate. They increase in number on the cells and looking to grab anything they can get and get them. They become very sensitive to anything that comes by. So it resolves the symptoms. So the reason, I think one of the reasons that traditional medicine doesn't want to recognize homeopathy is because traditional medicine works in antagonists. Things that actually block the receptors. They're inhibitors. If you just think about it, most of your drugs are calcium channel blockers, H2 blockers, H1 blockers, beta blockers. They're all inhibitors. And so what happens is those inhibitors, yes, if you're going to give an inhibitor, You got to give the actual molecules and in a high enough concentration that they can go and plug up all of the receptors so that the real frequency can't get to them to stimulate them. So in that respect, yeah, you take an inhibitor like that, it will not work in homeopathy. Absolutely won't. So so I kind of started to understand homeopathy that way. And then what I realized is, okay, so how are you getting this? What's this so-called frequency you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so every molecule has a unique shape. And because of that unique shape, it has a unique frequency because of the way light and sound bounce off of it. And so just like, very similar to how a camera works, a camera takes a shot and it bounces light off of the object. And of course, the object being a certain shape, bounces it back and it imprints those photons onto like a negative. Well, the same thing with a molecule. A molecule, you're bouncing light and sound off of it, and it gives it a particular shape, that wave that's coming back. And so they actually have proven this. They've done this by MRI now. They can take a frequency, and they can, by MRI, recreate what the original molecular shape was because of the way the photons. It's kind of like it's a mirrored image of it, a shadow of it, if you want to call it. And
Oh, tell them the hug thing.
hug.
No, not hug. The positive thought. The positive thought thing. This goes along with this. You
I'll
told
give
me
you a
this. Oh,
hug.
Jesus.
Oh,
Not
I'll
this.
give
No,
you
no,
a
no.
hug.
No. The positive thought
Oh yeah,
thing.
this is great. Okay, here.
See? I told you. I knew what I was talking about.
You hear this? You hear the cliche, the power of thought. It is so powerful. We know that thought actually now creates, if you want to call it, creates matter. It takes, and it for every thought you have, your brain. They've now proven this, that your brain creates a molecule to represent that thought. So if you have positive thoughts, those molecules have somewhat of a similar shape. If you have negative thoughts, those molecules have somewhat of a similar shape. And the molecules don't like to exist singularly. So they like to go and look for somebody that looks like them. So they actually travel together, listening to those frequencies, if you want to call it, that's being given off, and they congregate together. And the more they congregate, the more you get positive energy, and it manifests as health, etc. Same with negative. This is why the psychosomatic diseases and stuff, and how people can, if they're negative and they've got a lot of negative thoughts, what do they got? They've got all the diseases, cancers and stuff. And in fact, they've shown in cancer, people who have watched comedies and uplifting things, they actually see decreased tumor growth versus people who watch the dramas, the negative type thing. So why did you ask me this?
I don't know. We need to go back to homeopathy. You were talking about frequencies, and I was like, the thought thing. Okay, go back to homeopathy.
Okay, so then, so I kind of got to figure it out and said, okay, well, what's carrying this frequency? What is transmit? So how are you going to get it to everywhere? Water. Water is the best carrier of frequency. Just stand across the lake and have a conversation, and the people on the other side are going to listen to what you're hearing. So careful what you
better
you
talk
say.
nice about them. Yes.
So anyway, water is a great carrier of energy and frequency. And why that is because of the shape of water. It's kind of like a triangle, like the musical triangle, or a bell, how sound will just resonate back and forth in it. Well, that's the same thing you've got with the water molecule. You've got an oxygen up here and two hydrogens, makes a triangle, right? Well, the water molecule,
Sorry.
the water molecule acts kind of like the negative that you're like a photographer has. It imprints. You can imprint the frequency onto the water molecule of that molecule, and so. But here's the thing. So then I thought, oh my gosh, water. I just need to make all these dilutions, these serial dilutions in homeopathy. And why they make all these serial dilutions is, like I said, molecules don't like to exist singularly. So you got molecules that want to bind together. They want to clump together. Well, if they clump together, that's going to give off a different frequency than if it's the pure one single molecule,
itself, yeah.
right? So you have to break those up. So you're taking like a milligram or whatever, chemical you're working with, and you put it like in 100 milliliters of alcohol or whatever, or I used to think it was just water. You put in water in and shake it up vigorously. And I mean, you shake it hard. I used a paint shaker. Paint shaker works really good for like 2 minutes. You're breaking.
Don't give your secret.
Oh, my paint shaker. 2
It's
minutes.
patented. P.S. Don't be
That's
telling
not my
all
secret.
your
Anyway.
secrets.
So
Jeez.
anyway.
Okay, just take it.
So anyway, you shake it. You're vigorously shaking it because you're breaking those molecules up, and then you're diluting it each time you make a dilution. You're diluting it. You're decreasing the concentration because if you keep the concentration of all those molecules in it, you'll never get them to not break up, right? So to not clump together. So you keep diluting them out, and mathematically they've shown that at about a 12C, which is equal to 0.24 zeros and a 1, is equal to a pure, that's where you really only have one molecule in that solution of that chemical. Now you got the pure frequency. Now if there's homeopathy dilutions that go on beyond 12C, but then what they're doing is they're just changing the amplitude, the volume. So it's like turning the speaker volume down. You're just decreasing the amount that you're
Getting.
So anyway,
Keep going.
where was I? I lost my little dot there, and it lost my what I was supposed to be looking at. Okay. So I thought, okay, water
this
is
water.
and the body works in homeopathy. That's why we're mostly water. That's why our cells are bathed in water, because our cells just make us little tiny bit of a molecule, and it has a complete body effect because it's being transmitted through the water that all of our cells are in, right? Candace Pert, she was the scientist that discovered the opiate receptors in the brain. And she proved this. She took and developed, remember I told you, if you have a thought, it creates a molecule to represent that. She isolated the molecule that's formed when you are angry. And she took that and she...
Angry face. Keep going.
And she microscopically injected that into one muscle cell in the thigh of a mouse. And that mouse immediately became aggressive anger type behavior. Have you ever seen an angry mouse? That you don't want to mess with them. Anyway, so what happened? So obviously, it wasn't a case of a bunch of molecules having to travel up to the brain, find the receptors, etc. No, I mean, can you imagine how long it'd take you to get mad at somebody? Might be kind of a good thing to do.
Maybe.
Maybe make that fuse a little longer on some people. So anyway, so what they did, so she kind of proved this whole thing. So I decided, okay, I'm going to make a dilution in water. Just all my cereal dilutions in water. I get out there, didn't work. Nothing. Got nothing. So I'm like, well, what the heck? Water's supposed to be carrying this thing, right? Well, then I was listening to a seminar on geowater, they call it. And they said that water, you have to keep it from clumping together. You have to keep it in straight chain. And it dawned on me, just like water, I've got to keep it from clumping together, because if I imprint the frequency into the water and then I let it clump all together, you just got a bunch of white noise. It's not your pure frequency anymore. You're going through a whole bunch of fluff. Right?
Okay, got it.
So I had, fluff. Bad fluff.
Okay.
Lint, if you want to call it.
Yes, got it.
Okay, so then I had to keep it from, that's why it didn't work when I didn't have anything in those dilutions to keep the water from clumping. So that's when I'm like, okay, what can I use? Well, have you ever taken a glass of wine? You've had a few of them, I know.
Yes.
And you swirl it around and you get that sheet around the glass. And a wine connoisseur would tell you, you look for how many legs you get or something like that. It's a good...
I don't know. I just drink it. I don't know.
You're drinking too fast to see the legs develop.
I just drink it.
It doesn't work with a straw. You can't see it with a straw. So anyway, you swirl it around and you get this sheet of, wine
Film.
around. sheet film, whatever, a wine, around the glass. And then as the alcohol evaporates, you see the little water droplets. And those are those legs they talk about. Water droplets come down, they stream down. Well, what happened was the alcohol evaporated, let go of the water, allowing the water to clump. So I'm like, oh, I got to do the dilutions in alcohol. So I did. Worked great. Now, the rest is another secret that we won't talk about. But anyway. So anyway, homeopathy is absolutely, it's really how the body works. But how most homeopathy is done, no, I don't believe in it. And this is why they get, sometimes they get effects and sometimes they don't, is because you can't take homeopathy and ingest it. You can't put it into the body because you have no control of keeping that water from clumping. So we put it in a little disc, learned how to keep it just in the disc, keep it not clumping, and the body reads it just like listening to your stereo.
Got that? Did you guys kick all that in? All right, so like I said, video number 1 is done, okay? Homeopathy, what I got from that is homeopathy works if it's done correctly. We have patented it. We have figured it out. It's in the Respen-A. It's how it's delivered across the system. It's homeopathy. It works. I already said that. And on to the next video.
All right.
All right. If you guys have any questions about this, drop us a question below. If you guys could share this with your friends, your loved ones, anyone else who's questioning it, definitely do it. If they're sitting you and they look at you like my daughter right here and she's like, huh? That's okay. They can ask the questions. We can comment below. Tell them everything about it. We're moving on to number 2. Our number 2 video is why does Respen-A work and how does it work? Bye-bye.